and welcome back in our studio in Ecrea conference. It's my pleasure to introduce another special guest, Peter Dahlgren. Peter, welcome here in Prague. Peter is Professor Emeritus at the Department of Communication and Media in Lund University in Sweden. So, hello.
Hello, nice to be here with you.
In your research, you are talking about democracy, that democracy today is entering a new period of profound change, one that we might call late democracy. So, what does it mean for you, late democracy?
Well, I use the concept late democracy to signal a sense of urgency, that democracy is in a dire situation. It's on the defensive. It's even in some places being eclipsed, and democratic practices, institutions, etc., are not functioning well, and for a variety of reasons. But so the notion of late democracy, it's not a it's a rigorous theoretical concept. It's more of a way of sort of alerting people to a very problematic situation, which has been emerging. Well, I mean, there are different historical frames of reference, but ironically, it was in the early 90s, after the collapse of the communist systems, that scholars in the West first started talking about, gee, democracy doesn't seem to be working so well. I mean, which is, again, ironic. But I think this has been accelerating, and certainly the media are part of this development, but far from the whole story. So a combination of historical factors are resulting in democracy being in difficult situations, which of course varies in different settings. Even within Europe, the situation is quite different. If, say, in my country, Sweden, we have our problems, which look very different, say, if we go to Italy or Greece. But generally, Western democracy has hit on hard times.
Traditional filtering functions of elites are declined, so there is more space for more civic voices. So it's obviously very good, but do you also see any challenges in it?
Yeah, the decline of what we can call elite filtering, made possible not least by new digital media, allows for more voices to enter into the political arena, into the public sphere, larger plurality of voices, a wider ideological spread. Now, these things are positive. On the other hand, there are aspects here which are genuinely problematic. And on the one hand, if we're talking about voices, that also means that very and even anti-democratic voices are getting a lot of space for presentation of their ideas and for recruitment and so on, sort of racist, fascist, xenophobic groups and so forth. Another aspect is these voices are increasingly taking on journalistic roles. I mean, the notion of the blogger, but also social media, say, especially Facebook, serving as a journalistic media for a lot of its users. That people first get alerted to a news story via Facebook. Now, there's a lot of filtering going on there, which might not be elite filtering, but it's peer filtering. And it also raises problems, though, of what kind of worldview, what kind of diversity of views are citizens getting? Because there's this tendency to group homogeneity. I mean, one might argue this is a human tendency. People flock towards like-minded. But if we get these discursive ghettos of like-minded all reaffirming, well, I like the way you think because you think like me. You know? I think democracy is in trouble because this kind of enclave mentality undermines, say, a broader societal dialogue within democracy. And then there's also like the really awful aspect of, say enhanced media access via the net and so forth. And that is that it's also being used for bullying, harassment, threats, disinformation, propaganda. The net has become, in its roughly 20-year history as a mass phenomenon, increasingly a dangerous place, and a place that we do not dare trust too much because it's risky. And that's also an unfortunate development for democracy.
And now I have a special question, not about research, because I know that you are active in European academic networks. You also been visiting scholar at several universities, for example in Paris, Grenoble, or in Pennsylvania. So have you got some special memories for these places?
Yes, I'm not sure if I can talk about all of them here, but first of all, I would just say that I mean, the privilege of being able to visit different academic settings is one that I really appreciate, because one is alerted to how easily one falls into one's own little everyday bubble. And all of a sudden you're confronted by people who in various ways think differently from you. And you know, that's stimulating, you learn new things. And I think particularly in France, and it might not have so much to do with the academic side of things per se, but I sort of actively sought out professional contacts in France, try to get my French going and so on, because it was significantly different from Sweden. I figured, all right, I'm in Europe, and with my American and English speaking background, I could easily do the UK, Ireland circuit, but I wanted to try something new. And what was striking for me, among other things, is in French academic culture is, and this might be French culture more generally, in Sweden we have a tendency towards what's sometimes called consensus culture. Oh, we are in agreement now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Whereas in France, there's this delight in the argument. If one says, nice day today, I don't think so. No. And so in everyday life and in the academic world, I mean, this tendency to really get in and thrash it out, and contestation and argumentation. At first I was a little bit taken aback, I mean, because I had sort of eased into this Swedish sort of consensus mode, and this happily kind of brought me out of it.
Okay, Peter, thank you so much for this kind of interview.
Thanks for having me. And,
it was a pleasure to doing an interview with you.
Likewise,
it was very nice.
Okay.
So that's it, and see you soon in our Ecrea studio.